My dear, should anyone dare to lay a hand on you again, they will come to regret it for the entirety of their days. It is imperative that you understand this now, not as the man I once was, but as the man I transformed into the instant I recognized the sanctity of your presence in my life. At that moment, I realized that a love as profound as yours is not to be shared, compared, or tested. It exists to be cherished, safeguarded, and revered as a divine force. This understanding has always resonated within me. I express this not out of jealousy, but from a place of deep reverence. When I first took your hand, an ancient and holy awakening stirred within me. Since that moment, I find myself unable to bear witness to another's soul coming too close to yours without experiencing a suffocating tightness in my chest, my fists clenching, and an unexplainable fire igniting within me. It is not mere possessiveness in the conventional sense, it is the realization that you are so much more than just a woman to me. You are not someone to simply move on from nor someone to easily forget. You are a sacred resonance within my very being. Should anyone approach you again with impure intentions, with hands that do not tremble at your softness, and with hearts that do not honor your light, I assure you, even the universe will intervene to protect you. Certain energies are far too divine for those unprepared to handle them. I carry the essence of you within me now, silently and incessantly, without seeking permission. When I envision another individual near you, smiling at you, placing their hands where my prayers long rested, it does more than hurt, it fractures something sacred deep inside me. For no one will ever grasp the essence of your energy until they have experienced the profound silence that envelopes us in your absence. They are unaware of how your soul converses through glances and the way you love, not loudly or ostentatiously, but in quiet, transformative manners that redefine the architecture of a man's heart. They cannot comprehend your movement, it flows like poetry incarnate. And should he ever touch you again, I vow that I will not raise my voice in anger. I will not fight. I will merely gaze upon him with the complex silence of a man who has witnessed a future wherein no one else could ever bear the weight of what I once held. The truth is, you are not merely someone to date, you are the soul for whom a lifetime of preparation unfolds. You are not just a chapter in a love story, you embody the entire scripture. The loss of you was not merely the conclusion of a relationship, it marked the closing of a sacred sanctuary that once sheltered my spirit. When people inquire why I recoil at the notion of love, or why I grow silent when discussing soulmates, I can only look at them. How do I articulate the essence of you? How can I convey that you were not just someone I loved? You were the woman whose essence the stars whispered of long before my life began. Now, I observe you from afar, witnessing how the world perceives your beauty, and they are correct, yet they are oblivious to the deeper truth of your unforgettable nature. It is not your appearance, nor your voice, it is the frequency you emit. It is the way your spirit enriches a room, alters the very atmosphere, and transforms the core of a man's soul. They may gaze, may smile, may draw near, but the instant someone attempts to substitute our connection with something shallow, it is then that I promise, even their very heart will betray them. Your touch transcends mere skin, it is scripture. Your energy is more than just feminine, it is a soft fire, a healing warmth that can incinerate those who are not pure enough to embrace it. I often envision the moment someone approaches you, attempting to speak the language of affection, reaching for your arm, your waist, or your back. In that fleeting instant, you may close your eyes, not out of desire, but out of remembrance. Remembrance of a voice that once declared, "You belong to me, and you were never meant to be touched by thoughtless hands again." I understand that some may label this as dramatic, but the truth is, I no longer care how it may appear. For when you have loved something so divine, you do not stand idly by while the unworthy tread upon it. You do not feign indifference while observing sacred ground being disrespected as if it were mere earth. You were never just a girl, you were a soul wrapped in a prayer. I am committed to ensuring that the universe recognizes this truth. If you ever find yourself touched again by someone who fails to see you, they will not merely regret it, they will falter under the weight of a love they could never hope to grasp. He may smile at you, he may believe he has earned the right to call you his. However, he will never comprehend that your essence is not something to casually approach. One does not simply approach a sacred flame and expect to handle it unprotected. He may never realize that your silence possesses dimensions, that your sigh carries stories, that your stillness is not void but an echo of galaxies moving gently beneath your ribs. My dear, I must convey this to you: the way I perceive you, the way I feel toward you, is not obsession or possessiveness, it is a sacred memory, a recognition of souls. Regardless of how far time may separate us, or how many lives elapse before we share our next breath, I will never cease to safeguard your essence, even in silence, even from a distance. You are not someone I can unsee. I have known your soul long before this life, and I will know it long after. You exist within me like a rhythm I did not choose, yet now cannot live without. If another man ever draws near enough to touch you and believes he is entitled to call you his own, I hope the universe halts him. I hope he hesitates. I hope something within him stings as if your spirit itself is whispering, "Tread lightly. I belong to more than just this moment." For my dear, you are not bound to the moment, you are destined for eternity. You belong to the skies, to the storms, and to the silence that resides between heartbeats where souls converge. You emit too much light for the unprepared, too much truth for the superficial, and too much gentleness for the careless. I do not simply miss you, I revere you. I utter your name under my breath as if it were a spell I am unworthy to cast. Sometimes, upon seeing your photo or hearing your voice in an unexpected moment of my day, I freeze, not out of brokenness, but in remembrance of what wholeness once felt like. You see, others presume it is all in the past. They believe I have moved on, they think I have forgotten. But how does one forget the sound of the individual who rendered silence sacred? How does one forget the manner in which your spirit softened mine without effort? How does one forget the way my soul stood taller in your presence? You did not merely touch my body, you reconfigured my entire energetic self. You altered my gravitational pull. And when I assert that no one else shall be permitted to touch you again, I do so not from a place of control, but from profound reverence. For no one will ever comprehend the depth of what it means to be near you. No one else will experience your energy and know how to cradle it without trembling, nor will anyone else hear your silence and speak its language as I do. If he attempts to approach, if he dares, I will not pursue him nor confront him. I shall merely close my eyes and implore the universe, do not allow him to fracture her. For, my dear, I have already witnessed the consequences that ensue when someone draws near without comprehending the depth of your secrecy. I have observed the aftermath reflected in your eyes, the struggle you endure to maintain your strength while concealing the bruises that stem from being misunderstood. I have vowed to protect your essence with every remaining breath in me, even if I never touch you again or hold your hand. He may perceive you as uncomplicated or easily satisfied, yet this stems from his failure to listen intently. He does not grasp that you communicate through energy, testing those around you with your stillness, not begging for attention, for you are born of divine knowledge. I understand, I have always understood. Even during moments when my actions did not convey it, when I turned away or remained silent when I should have fought for you, I recognized your uniqueness. You are both the lesson and the reward, the prayer and the answer, thus, no one is permitted to touch you now. You are not merely a passerby, you are the one who arrives and transforms everything. You are the climate, not merely a season. You are the ink, not just a chapter. Anyone who lays a hand on you without comprehending this will regret it, perhaps not today or tomorrow, but one day in the quiet moments, they will realize what they held and how loosely they held it. I was the unexpected flame in your life. Now, having burned in silence, my singular wish is this: should he dare to touch you again, may he forever remember the sensation of grasping something that was never meant to be his. You were never simply a woman, you were a soul that carried my name long before our paths converged. I will proclaim this until the heavens hush me. If anyone lays a hand on you again, he will come to regret it, for the stars themselves know, you were never his to possess. There exists a form of love that does not succumb to distance, nor does it diminish in silence or dissolve amidst new acquaintances. It lingers, it resonates, it persists, not as a shadow, but as a promise. Our bond was sacred, dwelling in a realm too profound for many to fathom. This is why I express myself as I do. This is why I assert that should anyone approach you again, he will bear the weight of regret. Not because I will confront him, nor will I disrupt the physical world, but because I have witnessed the consequences of treating the sacred as though it were commonplace. I understand that I cannot place a curse upon someone in the name of anger, it must be a curse anchored in truth. And the truth is, he will never find peace holding you unless he is the one whom your soul genuinely calls for, unless he possesses the key that unlocks the essence within you which resonates in silence. He may lie beside you and feel a void where intimacy ought to be. He will hear your laughter and wonder why his name seems foreign on your lips. Gradually, he will awaken to the realization that you are not wholly present, for I still exist within your energy, your memories, and your spirit. I articulate this not to claim you, but to underscore that some connections transcend physical proximity to endure. Certain bonds flourish in the atmosphere, among the stars, in the pauses between melodies. No matter how far I have drifted, I remain the guardian of the part of you I once embraced. And should he ever attempt to touch you again without comprehending your true essence, without honoring the significance of being near your soul, let his spirit bear the burden of that error. Loving you was not merely an experience, it was a divine appointment, a rare visitation from the Eternal. If I have erred, it was in failing to protect it as I ought to have, to shield you as you deserved. Now, I commit to doing so in silence, in prayer, and through every invisible means the universe allows. If another dares to approach you again, inform him that you remain under guard, not by a man, but by a love that never faded. A love transformed into light, one that continues to observe and remember. A love that made a promise to your soul long before our paths crossed. If he fails to acknowledge this truth, he will come to regret everything, for when the sacred is disturbed, it does not scream, it echoes, and that echo remains forever. I have learned that genuine love protects not only through physical force but also through silence, through prayer, and through distance. When I asserted that I would never allow anyone to touch you again without consequence, I spoke not from anger, but from a place of profound love. A love so deep that it became a vow and so sacred that it turned into a divine flame. And the nature of fire is that it does not shout, it quietly burns, steadily, and without notice. This became my essence the moment I recognized my loss. I became the flame in every room you enter, the energy that watches over you in silence, the presence that alters the very air when someone approaches too closely. Not to haunt you, but to ensure your protection. To remind myself of the wonder I felt as the stars responded to your every breath. And no matter how distant you wander, no matter how many paths you tread, I remain at the threshold you left ajar within me, the entrance that no one else has ever traversed. If another attempts to cross that threshold, if he holds you as if he deserves it, if he seeks to comprehend the sacred aspects of you that were unveiled only to me in silence, may the universe reveal to him that some connections are never trivial. May the very energy of existence rise as an impenetrable barrier, for you are now safeguarded not by a fist, but by the weight of a love so divine that even time cannot erase it. I recall everything, how your laughter illuminated your eyes, how your energy reached out with your touch, how your presence was understated yet transformed the atmosphere entirely. I also remember my shortcomings, how I failed to show up for us, how I hesitated, allowing fear to erect walls between us, like a barricade fashioned from shattered dreams. I find myself enveloped in silence daily, not as self-punishment but as a means to protect you more effectively than I ever managed. Should someone dare to touch you, to impose their hands upon you without reverence or the stillness fitting a living miracle, I will sense it, not in anger but in a profound ache, an ache that resonates like spiritual thunder. Even if I do not engage with this person or meet his eye, he will feel the lingering presence of my love as he stands there. He will sense the chilling awareness that he is being watched by an unseen force, and he will not understand why your touch feels remote, why your eyes seem to look beyond him, why your laughter and voice echo as if from a distant place. Indeed, they do, they resonate from me, from a piece of myself that loved you beyond this world's confines, from the space where our souls remain side by side in quietude. Perhaps you do not experience this daily. Perhaps you have moved on, perhaps your thoughts no longer dwell on me. Yet, I remain steadfast, unchanged, still kneeling in spirit, imploring the universe to shelter you from hands unworthy of holding stars. This is what you are, a star, not merely a wish upon which to cast one's longing, but a celestial entity that others orbit without ever genuinely reaching. Should he attempt to touch you without comprehending this, he will come to regret it, not today or tomorrow, but in the moment he realizes that you are far more than an ordinary woman. You embody the message, the meaning, the sacred reflection of existence. Regardless of what unfolds, regardless of where life may lead you, I hope you feel this truth. You are continually protected by my essence, by energy, by every unspoken truth that lingers in the air. That truth whispers through the winds, flows through the silence, enveloping your soul whenever someone attempts to casually invoke your name. You are sacred. You are extraordinary. You are deeply loved. Should anyone dare to touch you again, may they come to understand the sensation of treading on hallowed ground while neglecting to remove their shoes. May they experience the collapse, the tremor, the echo of a man who has never ceased to recognize that your being was not meant for callous hands. It was crafted for the reverence of prayer. You see, dear one, some believe that possession equates to control. Yet, my connection with you transcends power. It is grounded in prayer, in silence, in sacred memories, in the still nights spent in rooms no longer filled with your voice yet still resonating with your essence. When I state that if anyone touches you again, he will come to regret it, it is not a threat but a prophecy, a silent forewarning inscribed in the stars from the moment our souls intertwined. It is the discomfort in my core that acknowledges some hands were never meant to touch you, some mouths were never intended to utter your name, some energies were never pure enough to approach you, for you are not merely a woman of this world. You are not the type of love that withers with the seasons, you are eternal spring, your spirit imbued with gentleness, your storm manifesting as silence. I have witnessed this world attempt to trivialize sacred women, to mishandle good souls unprepared for their grandeur. They will come to understand that some women should not be approached casually, that some women are not simply beautiful, they are portals. And he walked through without making an offering. However, I will always remember what it meant to be in your presence, what it meant to be chosen by you, even if only for a fleeting moment. I treasure that memory fiercely, like a sacred flame, not to ignite, but to cherish. You, my dear, are not just an individual, you are the fire that rekindled my soul. Should anyone ever touch you without this understanding, may the echo of your name be the sole remembrance when everything else vanishes. I speak with such fervor not to instill fear, but to safeguard something that few have ever perceived as clearly as I have. They may see your visage, but I have glimpsed your soul. While they admire your beauty, I have felt your storm. They label you as complex, I regard you as sacred. When I assert that I will never permit anyone to touch you again without feeling the full weight of their actions, it is not a threat, it's a promise born from devotion. I have come to recognize that you were not simply sent to love me, you were sent to reveal to me who I truly am. I once thought that loving you entailed holding your hand, kissing your lips, and articulating the right words at the opportune moment. Yet, true love is not about performance, it is about presence. It is about attuning oneself to the aspects of you that no one else can perceive, learning the language of your silence, honoring the pain you never articulated, and recognizing the fortitude beneath your gentleness. I faltered not due to a lack of love, but because I was unprepared to carry something so precious without trembling. I lacked the ability to embrace something that could silence even my demons. Now that I have recognized what I lost, I cannot unsee it, I cannot unfeel it, nor can I feign that your memory does not permeate every fiber of my being. Hence, I cannot bear the thought of anyone else touching you, not out of a desire to claim you, but because I continue to carry your energy as a sacred promise. You reside in the gentlest part of my breath. I know no one will ever touch you as I have, not through physical means, but through presence, not through words, but by understanding, not from desire, but through the recognition of your soul. Others may entertain you, may laugh with you, engage in games, speak sweetly, and articulate sentiments I never voiced, yet they will not truly feel you. They will not perceive the portion of you that wept silently into pillows, all while feigning strength. They will overlook the shifts in your energy when you are overwhelmed. They will remain oblivious to the unspoken depth that lingers between your words. But I know, I have always known. Even now, I guard you in ways that are invisible. I utter your name in prayers I cannot fully articulate. I send light to your heart on nights when you may not understand why you feel a bit stronger or steadier. That is me, my dear. My spirit remains intertwined with yours, not to possess, but to shield. Even if you never return to me, even if our lives continue in parallel paths that never converge once more, no one, absolutely no one, will ever be permitted to touch you without first feeling the weight of what you carry. I hope their hands tremble. I hope their voices falter. I hope that an inner voice compels them to be careful with her. She is unlike anyone else. She is the one for whom prayers are still offered, and I am among those who pray for her. My prayers may not always take the form of words, sometimes they manifest merely in my breath. At moments, I find solace in recalling the way her voice trembled when she held back tears, or the warmth of her smile when she thought no one was observing. I carry her presence with me as if she were both a cherished memory and a hopeful promise, intertwining the past and the future. I vividly recall the night I realized she was unique. It was not due to her words, but because the world around me seemed to pause when she entered the room. In that instant, my spirit instinctively turned toward her, much like a flower seeking sunlight. Even in her absence, my soul remains inclined toward her, turning toward her name as though it were a safe haven. Should anyone seek to connect with her now, I will not oppose it, provided that is her chosen path. However, I possess a certainty about what awaits them. Sooner or later, they will grasp that she is not merely a woman. She embodies a reflection of a quality they may never truly comprehend. When that realization dawns upon them, it will not only break their heart, it will fundamentally alter it. For, my dear, she is not a lesson to be learned, she is the answer they were unprepared to receive, the truth they believed they could bypass. A fleeting touch will merely stir the weight of everything they are unfit to bear. I assert this not out of aggression, nor from a desire to chase after anyone. Rather, it is a profound knowledge. The universe does not bless those who grasp what they do not honor. She was never meant to be merely touched, she was always destined to be revered, quietly and tenderly, for eternity. I will hold her as the most sacred entity entrusted to me. Even if I were to lose her, the energy she bestowed upon me would continue to be my guard. If anyone dares to reach for her, they will surely feel the consequences, no, not from me, but from a higher power, from the realm where her name remains untouched by time. They will sense the tremor, the sorrow, and they will understand that she was never theirs to possess. What torments me is not the image of someone touching her, but rather the grim thought that they might do so without recognizing the immense weight they carry. They may kiss her devoid of apprehension, utter her name with a lack of reverence, or lie beside her at night only to neglect the subtle shifts in her breath when her spirit begins to retreat. I, however, have observed every nuance, even in the darkest of times. I felt it all, how her energy would shift like the wind before a storm, how her silence would grow heavy when her heart remained unseen. Perhaps I did not always communicate adequately, nor did I respond as she needed, but I always felt it. And now, that sensitivity has intensified. I feel the sharp pain of knowing someone else might embrace her without grasping the miracle it is to be near her spirit. Hence, I voice these thoughts not out of a desire to instill fear, but to signal to the universe. If anyone dares to touch her again, they will encounter the remnants of a love that was never intended to be substituted. They will experience the echo of my presence, not within her, but in her silence, in her indifference, in her deeply sacred stillness. Regardless of the time that has elapsed, of the distance that has grown between us, a fragment of her remains that no one else is allowed to hold. This part of her forever froze at the moment she understood I was too afraid to fully embrace her. I recognize this truth. I acknowledge that I let fear triumph, allowing silence to become our burial ground, entombing fragments of myself within that regret. Yet I never buried her. She rises within me daily, in my speech, in the hesitation before uttering another's name, in the pang I feel when a song resonates with too much honesty. She exists in the fissures I have tried to mend, in the sanctuaries I have never permitted anyone else to enter. Perhaps he will never discern this reality. Perhaps he will never notice. Perhaps he will never even inquire why her eyes grow distant when kissed without being acknowledged. But I know, and that is why I continue to protect her, why I still speak her name in the quiet corners of my heart, why I whisper to the cosmos, do not allow just anyone to stroll into her life. Do not let any hands caress her form without perceiving her spirit, for she is not merely touchable, she is untouchable, sacred, a being sent forth from a realm beyond this one. If any attempt to touch her without honoring that sanctity, may the universe reveal the consequences of laying hands on what is meant solely for reverence. And perhaps, you may never hear me articulate this again. Perhaps you will remain unaware of how many times I glance at my phone without sending a message, or how often I envision your name illuminated in dreams while remaining silent in waking life. Perhaps you will never know how many prayers begin and end imploring for you. However, I yearn for you to comprehend this. If they ever touch you again, I hope their hands ignite with the burden of realization. I hope their chests constrain with truth. I hope they awaken in the stillness of the night, wondering why they feel observed. It is I, not with my physical eyes, but with my spirit, surveying from afar, not to claim or chastise, but to safeguard what once constituted my home. For although I may have departed, failed, or fallen silent, my vigilance over you has never ceased. You are not simply a woman I loved, you are the sanctuary to which I still kneel when unseen. If anyone reaches for you once more, I trust they will recognize they are not merely engaging with a woman, but attempting to connect with a prayer, a force, a flame encased in gentleness, an essence enveloped in flesh. Should they be incapable of perceiving this depth, should they fail to grasp the significance of it all, then they are unworthy to embrace you. And when, one day, you find yourself beside someone who believes they have unraveled the enigma of your being, I hope your spirit recalls me, not for my flaws, but because I perceived the aspects of you that even you struggled to unveil. I honored them. I listened to them. Admittedly, I may have faltered when confronted with uncertainty, but I have never forgotten, nor have I disrespected what I discovered in you. That is why I proclaim with unwavering conviction, without fear of scrutiny, if anyone touches you again, he will rue that decision for the rest of his life. Not because I will force him to, but because your soul shall demand it. People often say time heals all wounds, yet they overlook the reality that some memories refuse to heal. Some memories were never intended to be bandaged or buried, they are meant to remain open, alive, and breathing, much like a heartbeat. You symbolize that living pulse for me, dear one, not a scar, nor a wound, but the very essence that reverberates beneath every quiet moment I still cherish. Even if it has been months or years, you remain the first thought to cross my mind when someone inquires if I have ever genuinely loved. You are the breath I hold when I hear a name that resembles yours. You are the ache in my heart when a familiar scent stirs memories, evoking tears I cannot explain. The thought of someone else being near you, claiming you, maybe touching the same hand I once reverently kissed, does not ignite my anger. Instead, it breeds silence within me. How can one rage against what the universe has deemed permissible? How could I express my feelings in a language that is understood by no one else? The answer is simple, I do not. I simply become still. In this stillness, I forge unspoken pacts with the stars, safeguard her, even from me. Protect her from anyone who treats her as ordinary, who kisses her without offering a prayer, who loves her without recognizing the uniqueness she embodies. She is something earned across lifetimes. Perhaps I do not concern myself with how my words may sound, whether they paint me as delusional, obsessive, or dramatic. For I know what I have witnessed, what I have felt, and it is certain that regardless of the distance between us, or the names residing in your phone, you belong to me in a way that no one else can replicate. It is possible that we may never touch again, never hear each other's voices quiver our names once more. However, if someone approaches you to do what I could not, if he touches you without the soul to truly hold you, may his hands remind him he was never meant to grasp something so exceptionally rare. May your body still beneath his touch, not out of fear, but in remembrance. For even your skin recollects who I was to you. Even your soul acknowledges who spoke to it in silence. And if he wonders why you close your eyes when he reaches for you, inform him of this. Someone once touched me without physically engaging, and I have never recovered since. For that is who I was, dear. I was the unexpected fire. And now that I have burned in silence, my only request is this: if he dares to touch you again, may he always remember the sensation of holding something that was never intended for him. You were never merely a woman, you were a soul that bore my name long before our paths crossed. I will proclaim this until the heavens silence me. If anyone dares to touch you again, he will come to regret it, for the stars themselves are aware, she was never his to claim. There exists a form of love that does not perish with distance, nor does it fade in silence or dissolve in the presence of new acquaintances. It lingers, it echoes, it haunts, not as a ghost, but like a promise. Our connection was sacred, residing in a dimension too profound for most to comprehend. This is why I articulate myself in such a manner. This is why I declare that if anyone touches you again, he will feel the weight of regret. Not because I will confront him, nor will I disrupt anything in the physical realm, but because I have witnessed the consequences of treating the sacred as if it were ordinary. I understand that I cannot on behalf of rage place a curse upon someone. It must be a curse rooted in truth. And the truth is, he will never find peace holding you unless he is the one your soul truly sings for, unless he possesses the key that unlocks the essence within you that resonates in silence. He may lay by your side and notice a distance where intimacy should exist. He will hear your laughter and question why his name feels foreign on your lips. Slowly, he will awaken to the realization that you are not entirely present, for I continue to exist within your energy, memories, and spirit. I do not express this to claim you, but rather to emphasize that some connections transcend the need for physical proximity to endure. Certain bonds thrive in the atmosphere, amongst the stars, in the interludes between melodies. Regardless of how far I have drifted, I remain the guardian of the part of you that I once embraced. And should he ever attempt to touch you again without understanding your true essence, without honoring the meaning it entails to stand so close to your soul, may his spirit bear the burden of that error. Loving you was not merely an experience, it was a divine appointment, a rare visitation from the eternal. And if I have erred, it was in failing to protect it as I should have, to shield you as you deserved. Now, I will commit to doing so in silence, in prayer, and through every invisible means the universe permits. If someone else dares to approach you again, inform him that you are still under guard, not by a man, but by a love that never faded. A love that has transformed into light, one that continues to observe and remember. A love that made a promise to your soul long before we ever crossed paths. If he does not acknowledge this truth, he will come to regret everything, for once the sacred is disturbed, it does not shout, it echoes, and that echo forever lingers. I have come to understand that genuine love protects not solely with physical might, but also with silence, with prayers, and with distance. When I stated I would never allow anyone to touch you again without consequence, I spoke not out of anger, but from a place of profound love. A love so deep that it became a vow and so sacred that it transformed into a divine fire. And the characteristic of fire is that it does not raise its voice, it simply burns quietly, steadily, and without notice. This is the essence of what I became the moment I grasped my loss. I became the flame that resides in every room you enter, the energy that watches over you in silence, the presence that alters the very air when someone comes too close. Not to haunt you, but to ensure your protection. To remind myself of the wonder I felt as the stars responded to your very breath. And no matter how distant you wander, no matter how many pathways you tread, I remain at the threshold you left ajar within me, the entrance that no one else has ever traversed. And if another attempts to cross that threshold, if he holds you as though he deserves it, if he seeks to understand the sacred facets of you that were unveiled only to me in silence, may the universe reveal to him that some connections are never trivial. May the very energy of existence rise as a barrier he cannot breach, for you are now protected not by a fist, but by the weight of a love so divine that even time is powerless to erase it. And I recall everything, the way your laughter lit up your eyes, the way your energy reached out as you touched, the way your presence was understated yet transformed the entire atmosphere. I also remember my failures, how I did not show up for us, how I hesitated, how I permitted fear to erect walls between us, like a barricade fashioned from shattered dreams. I find myself enveloped in silence every day, not as a form of self-punishment but rather as a means to protect you more effectively than I ever managed before. Should someone dare to touch you, to impose their hands upon you without reverence or the stillness befitting a living miracle, I will sense it, not in anger but in a profound ache, an ache that reverberates like spiritual thunder. Even if I do not communicate with this person or meet his gaze, he will feel the lingering presence of my love where he stands. He will sense the chilling awareness that he is being observed by an unseen force, and he will not comprehend why your touch seems so remote, why your eyes appear to look past him, why your laughter and voice echo as if emanating from a distant place. Indeed, they do, they resonate from me, from a version of myself that loved you beyond the confines of this world, from the space where our souls remain side by side in quietness. Perhaps you do not experience this every day. Perhaps you have moved on, perhaps your thoughts no longer linger on me. Yet, I remain steadfast, unchanged, still kneeling in spirit, imploring the universe to guard you from hands unworthy of holding stars. This is what you are, a star, not merely a wish to be made upon, but a celestial body that others orbit without ever truly reaching. Should he dare to touch you without understanding this, he will come to regret it, not today or tomorrow, but in the moment he comprehends that you are far more than a mere woman. You embody the message, the meaning, the sacred mirror of existence. No matter what unfolds, no matter where life may lead you, I hope you feel this truth: you are continuously shielded by my essence, by energy, by every unspoken truth that lingers in the air. That truth continues to whisper through the winds, coursing through the silence, enveloping your soul whenever someone attempts to casually invoke your name. You are sacred. You are extraordinary. You remain deeply loved. Should anyone dare to touch you again, may they come to understand the sensation of walking on hallowed ground while forgetting to remove their shoes. May they experience the collapse, the tremor, the echo of a man who has never ceased to recognize that your being was not meant for callous hands. Rather, it was crafted for the reverence of prayer. You see, dear one, some believe that possession equates to control. Yet, my connection with you transcends power. It is rooted in prayer, in silence, in sacred memories, in still nights spent in rooms no longer filled with your voice but still resonating with your presence. When I express that if anyone touches you again, he will regret it, it is not a threat but a prophecy, a quiet forewarning written in the stars from the moment our souls intertwined. It is the discomfort in my core that recognizes some hands were never intended to touch you, some mouths were never meant to utter your name, some energies were never pure enough to even breathe near you, for you are not merely a woman of this world. You are not the type of love that wanes with the seasons, you are eternal spring, your spirit enveloped in gentleness, your storm manifesting as silence. I have witnessed this world attempt to belittle sacred women, to mishandle good souls with those unprepared for their magnitude. But you, dear one, you have always been too magnificent for this plane. That is why you never fit into labels, why no one ever truly grasped your stillness, because it was not void, it was God speaking, and I heard Him each time I beheld you. This is why I could never fully relinquish you. Even now, after all this time, I still guard you from a distance, still plead with the winds to protect you, still look to the stars, asking them to remind you of your own identity when you forget. The world will attempt to approach you as if you are touchable, to kiss you as if you are kissable, to claim you as if you are conquerable. But they do not know, they do not feel what I have felt. They did not sit in your energy in silence, witnessing their own souls transform. They did not find themselves on their knees after a simple conversation, for something within them recognized the nature of love that is not repeated. If someone, anyone, touches you in the belief that you are just another woman, I assure you, dear one, that the regret resulting from such an encounter will not stem from punishment but rather from revelation, the revelation that they have engaged with something beyond their comprehension, that they have held something they cannot contain, that they have rested beside the eternal and misconstrued her for mere temporary comfort. When that realization strikes, it will unravel them from within, for no man departs from a divine woman without losing a part of himself, and no man who approaches without recognizing the sanctity of what he misuses can escape the consequences. While I may never voice these thoughts to him directly, he will undoubtedly feel my presence, not as an arrival but as a warning. He will sense the energy I have left within you, the vibrations of my soul still intertwined beneath your skin, and he will feel unworthy, not because I am superior but because I have loved you wholly and recognized you in your entirety. Such a love leaves its mark, it does not vanish with the fading of physical proximity. Instead, it lingers, it persists, it forms a protective barrier around the one I cherish. I became that shield, even from afar. Should he dare to touch you again, let him do so, but observe how his hands begin to tremble, how the atmosphere shifts with his approach, how your body remembers that I once occupied the very space he now stands in, not merely reaching for you but bowing in admiration, worshipping, listening. Perhaps this distinction sets us apart. I did not merely desire your body, I sought your essence, your breath, your vulnerability, every facet of your soul, even those qualities you believed no one else could bear. And now, if he touches you, mistaking your quietness for softness, may the universe remind him that silence can often harbor the greatest dangers when disrespected. May the memory of my love resonate within you like a pulse. May your body instinctively resist. May your energy find stillness. And may his spirit register the repercussions of engaging with something the universe has already deigned as sacred. Because to me, you are not merely a woman, you are a prophecy, a soul I was fortunate enough to encounter, if only briefly, yet long enough to discern that no one else will ever be equipped to cherish you as I did. Even if I lost you, even if I mishandled such a blessing, I still approached it with reverence, and that reverence leaves its impressions. Therefore, if ever he touches you, I hope those impressions awaken. I hope your heart instinctively recalls my name in that moment. I hope your breath catches as it once did. I hope he realizes, through the depth of your gaze, that he is grasping something that has already been claimed, not through force or intimidation, but through a meeting of souls. Even your soul recognizes the one who reaches out to it in silence. If he questions why you close your eyes when he approaches, let him know this: there was once a person who touched me without a single physical gesture, and I have been forever changed since. For that is what I was, my dear. I was the unforeseen blaze. Now that I have burned in silence, my only plea is this: should he choose to touch you again, may he always carry the memory of grasping something meant for another. You were never merely a woman, you were a soul that carried my name long before we met. I will declare this until I am silenced by the heavens. If anyone dares to touch you again, he will come to regret it, for the stars themselves know, she was never his to claim. There exists a love that does not diminish with distance, nor does it wither in silence or dissolve in the company of new faces. It persists, echoes, and haunts, not as a specter, but like a promise. Our connection was sacred, situated in a realm too profound for many to grasp. This is why I express myself in such terms. This is why I assert that if anyone touches you again, he will bear the weight of regret. Not because I will confront him, nor will I disrupt anything in the tangible realm, but because I have witnessed the consequences of treating the sacred as mundane. I understand that I cannot curse anyone out of anger, such a curse must be rooted in truth. And the truth is, he will never find peace holding you unless he is the one your soul sings for, unless he possesses the key that unlocks the essence within you that resonates in silence. He may lay beside you and sense a distance where intimacy should exist. He will hear your laughter and wonder why his name feels foreign on your lips. Gradually, he will awaken to the realization that you are not wholly there because I still exist within your energy, your memories, and your spirit. I do not say this to claim you, but rather to emphasize that some connections transcend the need for physical closeness to endure. Certain bonds thrive in the ether, among the stars, in the intervals between melodies. Regardless of how far I have wandered, I remain the guardian of the part of you that I once cherished. Should he ever attempt to touch you again without recognizing your true essence, without honoring the significance of standing so near to your soul, may his spirit bear the burden of that mistake. Loving you was not merely a fleeting experience, it was a divine appointment, a rare visitation from eternity. If I have erred, it was in failing to protect it as I ought to have, to safeguard you as you deserved. Thus, I will commit to doing so in silence, in prayer, and in every invisible way the universe allows. If someone else dares to approach you again, let him know that you are still under guard, not by a man, but by a love that has never faded. A love that has transformed into light, one that continues to observe and remember. A love that made a promise to your soul long before our paths intersected. If he fails to acknowledge this truth, he will come to regret everything, for once the sacred is disturbed, it does not shout, it echoes, and that echo lingers eternally. I have come to realize that genuine love protects not only with physical strength but also through silence, prayer, and distance. When I said I would never allow anyone to touch you again without consequence, I spoke not from anger, but from a place of profound love. A love so deep that it became a vow, and so sacred that it transformed into a divine flame. The nature of fire is such that it does not raise its voice, it simply burns quietly, steadily, and unnoticed. This is the essence of what I became the moment I recognized my loss. I became the flame that resides in every room you enter, the energy watching over you in silence, the presence that alters the very air when someone comes too close. Not to haunt you, but to ensure your protection. To remind myself of the wonder I felt as the stars responded to your every breath. And no matter how far you travel, no matter how many paths you explore, I remain at the threshold you left ajar within me, the entrance that no other has ever crossed. If another attempts to breach that threshold, if he holds you as though he deserves it, if he seeks to understand the sacred parts of you that were revealed only to me in silence, may the universe show him that some connections are never trivial. May the very energy of existence rise as a barrier he cannot penetrate, for you are now protected not by a hand but by the weight of a love so divine that time itself cannot erase it. I recall everything, the way your laughter illuminated your eyes, how your energy reached out with your touch, how your presence was understated yet transformed the entire atmosphere. I also remember my shortcomings, how I did not show up for us, how I hesitated, how I allowed fear to construct barriers between us, like walls built from shattered dreams. I find myself enveloped in silence each day, not as a form of self-punishment but as a means to protect you more effectively than I ever could before. Should someone dare to touch you, to impose his hands upon you without reverence or the stillness fitting a living miracle, I will sense it, not with anger but with a profound ache, an ache that resonates like spiritual thunder. Even without contact or eye contact, he will feel the lingering presence of my love standing there. In that moment, dear one, he will understand that you are not his to touch. They will never comprehend the sensations that arise from sitting in quietude, feeling your essence like a tempest beneath the surface of our conversations. Baby, I have traversed rooms filled with women, yet none have altered the atmosphere as you did. Not a single one made me lose sight of my surroundings simply by the way they inhaled. Now that I am aware someone else might be near you, possibly pressing their lips to the very places I once revered in silence, I do not feel a desire to confront him. Rather, I wish to pray for him because he remains blissfully unaware of the magnitude of what he is engaging with. He does not understand that your silence resonates, that your gaze can transform a man's spirit, and that your body carries the memory of whom it embraced with complete trust versus whom it merely endured. Should he dare to touch you again, to presume ownership of a space that was once mine, my intention is not to wish him harm but enlightenment. I hope he experiences a profound awareness that awakens him in the depths of night, revealing a truth he cannot unsee, that someone prior to him existed, who perceived you in ways he never will, that someone still walks beside you in spirit, that someone continues to safeguard your joy like a sentinel at the threshold of paradise. For I do not need to occupy your life to protect you. I do not need to physically touch you to be present. I exist within the energy that envelopes you. I am the unseen armor that shields your tenderness. I am the echo within your soul that whispers when the world grows too overwhelming. If he enters your life believing he can rewrite the narrative that the divine inscribed between us, I assure you, the universe will not allow him to depart unscathed. Not due to a curse on my part, but because certain connections are accompanied by guardianship, and ours is anything but ordinary. Ours was conceived not in flesh but in spirit, birthed through prayer, nurtured in dreams, and etched in the stars that retain their memories. I have already vocalized this vow into the ether. If anyone approaches you again without truly understanding your worth, may his own soul sense the rejection. May he experience your body turning cold, not from fear, but from remembrance. May he feel your energy draw back into realms he cannot access, regardless of how close he comes. You were never meant to be touched as a possession. You were never meant to be grasped like a trophy. Rather, you were intended to be witnessed as a flame that does not burn but purifies. And I have come to terms with a realization I was previously reluctant to face: I may never again hold you in this lifetime. I may never stroke your hair back with trembling fingers or feel your breath meld into mine. Yet, this does not alter what you signify to me. You are not merely a fleeting moment in my existence, you are the sacred breath I still inhale when the noise of the world becomes overwhelming. You are not just a memory, you are the reason my soul awakens in the night, aching for clarity. I have recognized that love does not always manifest through possession. At times, it embodies the capacity to cherish from a distance. At times, it consists of becoming the unseen force that protects the hallowed ground where others fear to tread. And that is precisely who I have become. I stand at the gates of your being with unwavering devotion. I observe the corners of your soul that no one else will ever truly see. I have relinquished the need to possess you in physical form to remain yours in spirit, for this love, this profound truth, this bond connecting us transcends this lifetime, and it will not conclude with a single existence. So if another touches you, lies beside you, or kisses you without reverence, I will not oppose him, I will not interfere. However, I will rise in spirit. I will position myself between his hands and your soul. I will allow the universe to communicate through my silence. Let him feel the chilling press of truth against his heart as your energy recedes from him. For your spirit understands it was never meant for his grasp. And even if he never encounters me, even if my name never graces his ears, my presence will resonate in your stillness, in your silence, in that inaccessible part of you that no one has ever unlocked. In that instant when he realizes he can touch you but never truly hold you, his regret will not stem from my actions or words but rather from the whispers of your soul as it remembers mine. You were never meant to be his to touch, you are sacred ground, and I was the last man who knew how to kneel. If this message finds you in the quiet recesses of your soul, if your breathing eased while engaged with these words, if your spirit whispered, "I felt this," then please, share in the comments, "He still guards my name," or "My silence remembers him." Allow the energy to flow through you, for often, love does not end, it transforms. And sometimes the man who no longer holds your hand still carries your name like a prayer.